name is ACountryman, and I'm going to be talking about how technology has affected our modern relationships in the 21st century. I chose to talk about this topic because I've noticed how the expansion of technology and the advancement of technology in the last 20 years has really taken off. We're kind of in the middle of a tech boom. Smartphones have brought the internet to literally our pocket, and we can communicate conveniently with anybody in the world from anywhere at any time. Also, social media has really affected our relationships and how we communicate and stay in touch with people from all over the country and all over the world. So I really wanted to dive into how that technology affects three main relationships with our family, with our friends, and with our romantic partners. So first, let me talk about the negative impacts that I believe that technology has had. There is an essay called Faux Friends by William Deresiewicz. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. And it's about social media and how that has basically destroyed intimate relationships. People no longer feel the need to contact those closest to them when they have a random musing or to share their feelings. They put that feeling and those musings into a post or a status update or a picture online for their hundreds, if not thousands, of friends to comment on or like. Our cell phones, those are detrimental to our society and to us as people and our relationships. Helen Leland did a study where she took strangers, two at a time, would be sitting at a table, and she would either put a small notebook or a cell phone on the table. And the people who had the notebook on the table reported having a more positive interaction with the stranger than the people with the cell phone on the table. And that's because the cell phone is a tool to the outside world. So even just having that cell phone as a reminder that at any time one of those people could disconnect and focus on the world and not on their partner was detrimental to their interaction and had a lot of negative feedback. Technology is also having an impact on our children. So most children ages 12 to 14 are beginning to use cell phones and social media and instant messaging. And this is according to Cecilia Brown, who wrote Are We Becoming More Socially Awkward? An analysis of the relationship between technological communication use and social skills in college students. There was also another study by Rideout, Four, and Roberts in 2010 that showed that children ages 8 to 18 were spending an average of 7.5 hours online and then another few hours on their cell phones. Like 66% of them had a cell phone already. Now that time that they were using to play games and to surf the web and chat with their friends 20 years ago, that time would have been used talking with their parents or their siblings or having family time. But not today. It's used all for their technology. So also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the negative impacts of online dating. With online dating, people are losing the perks of having an in-person encounter. Those perks include tone of voice, body language, even scent, and the immediate feedback that someone gets communicating. With online dating, you get a snippet of someone's life, of their personality, with just a picture, a brief intro, some general questions. You're judging these people, and you get this pool of men or women that you have to choose from. You're not really getting the full sense of who they are without an actual in-person interaction. So now that I've talked about the negative impact that technology has had, I want to move on to the positive impacts. Starting with online dating, since that's what I just ended with. So all of this information I got from Ann Conkle's Psychological Sciences article, Modern Love, Scientific Insights from 21st Century Dating. This article mainly touches on online dating and speed dating, but for the sake of this research, I just focused on the online dating part. So the positive impacts of online dating is that it's more convenient. We don't have to leave our homes. We don't have to wait for happenstance to meet someone in a bar or on a blind date. Everything's just completely, it's right there on your computer. You can look up somebody and you can narrow down your choices through their personality traits. Also, it's been a lot easier for researchers to study dating than it was in the 20th century with online dating and speed dating because their subjects are in a controlled environment. So newer technology also has improved the quality and satisfaction of long-distance relationships. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. It can be a family relationship or a friendship. Allie Kirk did a study among college students who were in long-distance relationships to determine which internet platforms proved most satisfactory. And it turns out that Skype ranked the highest because it not only utilizes instant messaging, but it also has the video calls. So the face-to-face interaction was really important to long-distance relationships. So now that I've talked about some of the negative and positive aspects, how have these affected the norms and traditions of the 21st century? Well, if we talk about online dating one more time, what was once seen as taboo among older generations with Match.com, eHarmony, OkCupid, Tinder, any of those, has actually become more accepted. And blind dates, going to a bar looking for a relationship, or just meeting through happenstance is becoming, it's slowly dying out. Those are the older methods. And actually, through online dating and speed dating, researchers have discovered that people are actually attracted to others with similar traits and not opposite traits. So online dating's kind of debunked the myth that opposites attract. Friendship is also being redefined today. According to William Deresiewicz' article, Faux Friends, even though intimate friendships through social media are dying, friendship is actually stronger, or is being perceived as stronger today than it has been, because people are seeking friendship in other relationships. Spouses are referring to each other as their best friends. Parents want to be friends with their children. Teachers, clergymen want to be friends with their pupils. Friendship is just finding out to be valuable in other aspects of different relationships. Husbands and wives' roles have changed since the 20th century. In Elizabeth Bott's book, Family and Social Network, she writes about in 1957 how there were two types of couples. There were couples who worked independently of each other, spent their own money their own way, and then she talked about couples who worked together and had made joint choices about their money and their work and their chores. Today, there is more of that type of couple than the independent couple. Each person in the relationship is having to work. So they are sharing responsibilities. They are working together to raise their children or to do housework or to work together. It's not an independent thing anymore like 60 years ago. So through my research, I've come up with a couple of conclusions. For one, the negative consequences that technology has on the three main relationships I chose to discuss outweigh the positive, but I think those negative results or those negative outcomes could be a result of our generation and the generation of our parents not knowing how to live in and adapt to a world where most of the communication is done indirectly via social media or online dating. It's a matter of evolving and adapting to our ever-changing world and society. And it's going to be interesting for me to see how the children of millennials, the children of my friends and people my age, how they adapt to the world. How are they going to pair cyber life with real life? And I think it's hard to really judge how technology affects relationships because you also have to factor in the sociological and economic impacts on our lives. And you can't really separate that to do a controlled experiment. So I definitely think this topic needs more research. But I think it seems from the initial study that I conducted that while technical aspects of friendships and relationships with the family and romantic relationships are changing, but the values behind them are still the same, and if not stronger today than they were in the 20th century.